What's up, my fellow coffee enjoyers? Speaking of coffee here, I currently, while filming this, have a vanilla and lavender latte. It's good. And yes, lavender in coffee is a fucking bomb. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. So, at the start of this year, I decided, you know what? There's a lot of horror movies and horror games that I haven't gone around to that I really want to, or like games and movies I want to revisit. So I made this huge list and I'm calling it my little horror journey for the year. And so, yeah, I just want to dedicate a lot of this year to like catching up in the horror genre as a whole because I'm a big fan of the genre, have been for years. And one of the first movies that legit like got me into the horror genre was Scream 1 and Scream 4. So I decided just in general, let's since the new Scream movie came out, Scream 7, which I'll make a whole video dedicated to that movie more than likely in the future, but I'll give my brief thoughts at the end of this video if you want to hear that. But for now, this video, I'm going to be talking about Scream 1 since recently I watched that with a couple friends. That was like 9 of my friends and we all like gathered around and hung out and watched the first Scream movie together and that was really fun. So, it gave me some time to really like, revisit one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'm like, "You know what? Let's talk about it. This is how we'll start this little series of me talking about horror movies and eventually horror games as well." But yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. Maybe this video will be interesting, or maybe it'll just be me just yapping. We'll see. I don't know. But hopefully you enjoy, so let's get right into it. So actually, before watching Scream 1, the first movie I watched in the series was the fourth one back in high school. And after watching that movie, I was like, I want to watch this whole franchise because I was just the fourth one endeared me so much. And I will eventually talk about the fourth movie, hopefully, but I went back and watched the first one and I was like, damn, like this movie, it was so well written. The character dynamics were so good. The moment to moment was incredible. Like, it was just such an incredible watch. And even after that first watch, because the first watch is like you don't know what's going on, right? But then after that, you watch it like again, and even when you know what's going on, it's still enjoyable. Um, the character dynamics, all of that. It's so just incredibly well done. And honestly, I think it all begins with Sydney Prescott, an incredible main character. Probably one of my favorite like horror protagonists. The way her dynamic is with like certain characters in this movie and the way that evolves, like the way her character evolves throughout the franchise. Like she's just incredibly well written character and like she I don't know, it's just extremely enjoyable to just watch her like change throughout the franchise, how she interacts with like Gale Weathers and Dewey, who are also incredible characters. And her actress is just really good at playing the character. So she's just really enjoyable as a protagonist. And then the side characters in this movie, the other notable characters like Tatum, Billy, Stu, and Randy, um, just incredible. I especially love Randy and his little like I don't even know, like manic episodes he has about like horror films and how there's a formula to these things and how he describes the events of the movie unfold and how it all all leads up to the ending of the movie, which the ending's incredible. It's iconic. It's so good. This movie is extremely quotable as well. Like sometimes some certain lines in this movie play in my head when I'm like watching other horror movies or playing certain horror games or just anything when it comes to like writing. Like Scream comes to my brain because it's so just memorable. Um and I just think this is like the true pinnacle of like the slasher genre in my opinion. And I don't think This is gonna be my segue here. I don't think that would even be possible if it also wasn't for the fact that Ghostface is built to be an icon. I mean, what does there need to be said? Like, look at this. Just look at this. Ghostface is like one of the most simple yet effective designs to like a slasher villain. Like there's something about the mask. I can't put my finger on it. It's so like uncanny. And I heard this like described by a friend. It's like so animated and goofy looking, which makes it all the more scarier when you see the Ghostface slasher villain in these movies like do like really visceral terrifying things, right? So, I don't know, and the simple black cloak and, like, something that I really love is, like, the arm, like, the little wing-looking things on the arms. Like, I have one of these costumes, and I was, Ghostface for Halloween a couple times for fun, you know, because Halloween's fun, I don't know. I don't know why I need to mention that, but Halloween, I've been Ghostface a couple times, and the costume is just clean. It's clean, and, like, it's one of those things that anybody can wear the costume. It's not tied to any specific person, and I think that makes it all the more scarier with, like, not knowing who's under the mask. But the voice actor, like, the person who plays, like, the Ghostface voice, like, the voice changer, um, his voice, like, the voice for Ghostface, like, the iconic voice, like, you hear over the phone, the voice changers, like, that voice works so well as well. Like, the whole, like, "Hello, Sydney," or, like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" Like, it's so good. Like, just he's extremely iconic, or she, you know, depending on the movie you watch, right? But it's just it's so good. So this part of the video, I'm just going to quickly go over some of my favorite scenes. There are gonna be spoilers. Just if you haven't watched Scream 1, go do yourself a favor and watch it. But anyways, let's get right into it. So, the very opening scene, just what a great way to start a movie like this, you know? That whole opening scene with the phone call, the sick and twisted game that Ghostface makes the girl at the start do with, you know, the boyfriend and it's just it's barbaric to say the least. It's a little bit out there how this movie starts. Um but it's very tense, sets the tone very well. It also sets up this idea that this movie is very self-aware of the horror genre, which is, I think, to its strengths throughout the franchise. Um, and yeah, I just think it's a great opening scene. They set up opening scenes like this throughout the whole franchise, you know? And I think that is one thing this franchise does incredibly well is have like really good opening scenes to get you hyped for the movie. You know what I mean? Um, I did especially like the one in 7. But anyways, let's get back to more scenes in the first film. I didn't mention this in the first part of the video, but Gale Weathers and Dewey, any of the scenes they're in, it's super cringy, but in like a wholesome way. Gale Weathers is super likable, super hateable, all of the above, right? And then Dewey is such an interesting character. I really like him. These two are great. They also are a big part of this franchise, alongside Sydney. But any of the scenes they're in is great. Um, I especially like when Sydney punches Gale. Iconic, iconic. But the scene in the video store with Stu and Randy talking about, oh, I think it's Billy, or it could be you, Randy, because you're freaking out about horror movies and shit. And that whole scene, that whole conversation, and then Billy is behind Randy and intimidates him. That scene, very tense, interesting. Like, I don't know why I'm using the word interesting. I'm just there's something about that scene that like really like so it's just I don't know, it's memorable to me, and quotable. Um, Other scenes. I just think all of the scenes with Sydney and Ghostface, like in from like the very first one, the bathroom, that was very intense. And there's one more I'm trying to think of, and I've been watching so many horror movies, and I just watched the seventh movie, so I'm digging into the um the the crevices of my memory. But I'll just quickly say the last couple scenes, I briefly mentioned Randy a couple times, but the scene where he's like, it's technically two scenes, but when he's on the couch watching Halloween and he pauses it and he's like, guys, there's a formula to this, right? And then he starts talking about the rules for how to survive a horror film. You know, don't drink, don't have sex, and don't say you'll be back. And I love how they play off of those rules, like, because they're all getting drunk and they're all saying boo to the no sex thing, which is hilarious. Like that scene is just incredible. And then when Stu is like, hey, does anyone want a beer? I'll be right back. And that's just, I love that. And spoiler, big spoiler. The killers, Billy and Stu, first time watching, I was mind blown. And the whole ending scene, where Sydney like trying to save her father, and who was gonna be framed for the whole thing because of the plot with her mother. And man, Billy and Stu are fucking twisted. But that quote with the whole like, movies don't make psychos, they make them more creative. That's not how he exactly says it, but you know what I mean. That whole quote is peak. But yeah, what an incredible movie. So many memorable scenes. It's just, and that whole ending scene where Sydney comes out on top and is a survivor by the end of it. It's intense. But man, it's thrilling. Yeah, thank you for sticking around and listening to me yap about one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Yeah, if you haven't watched this movie and you're a big horror fan, yeah, go watch this movie. This movie I just still maintains to be one of my favorite movies to revisit, and it's one of my favorite it started one of my favorite franchises. So, yeah, I mean, I love this movie. Now, I know Scream 7 just came out, so I'll give my very brief thoughts about it if you're curious. I mentioned this briefly earlier. I did like the way the movie started. I like a lot of the ideas that they were trying to explore, but I do agree with a lot of people saying that it's probably one of the weakest movies in the series. Um, However, I'm going to rewatch Scream 2 through 6 to give like my full take on where they stand, but I don't remember enjoying 3 all that much. So, but we'll see. 7 and 3 might be tied for me. I'm not sure. But it was still enjoyable. I still enjoyed it despite, what a lot of people are saying. I still enjoyed it. But with that all being said, thank you for listening to me yap. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.